When we first moved to the US, I thought leasing a car was a smart choice. I mean, who wouldn't want, to drive a shiny car, brand new, and be able to change it every 2 or 3 years without any sweat? For me, it was a dream come true. But that smart choice cost me thousands of dollars. Looking back now, I wish at the time I knew what I now know. If you are a new immigrant to this country, or you are just struggling with car decisions, stick around. I promise you, this video could not only save you from making the kind of mistakes that I made, but most importantly, it could save you thousands, and I mean thousands of dollars. Welcome to Cash Talk for Immigrants. This is where we share our journey through the US financial system to help you avoid the type of mistakes we made and also empower you to build real wealth, guide you, tell you the things that will assist you build real, genuine wealth. My name is Wachuku, Vidal Wachuku. And today, as you can see, I'm flying solo. My beloved is not by my side. However, I'm going to share my American car buying missteps with you today. So fasten your seatbelt and learn from my story. Again, upon arrival in the US, leasing seemed like the best option to me. I was also partly influenced by a good friend of mine, an African American, who told me he had never bought a car in his life, that he always leased and changed it every 2 to 3 years. So he drove a brand new car every 2 to 3 years, that he had lower monthly payments, And so that argument was compelling, particularly coming from a background where I had driven Tokumbo cars most of my life, and with all the repair costs and everything. So I thought, okay, this would be a good way to go. Drive brand new cars, 2, 3 years, give it up. And that's it. For me also, it was also a huge upgrade because having never driven brand new cars, or what we call tear leather in Nigeria, it was like a status thing. I have arrived America, instead of driving second-hand used cars. But no one warned me about the hidden cost of leasing. No one. Or the trap of constantly upgrading. Now, my first lease was a Honda Odyssey LX, a 7-seater SUV. The monthly payments were, of course, lower than financing, which is like purchasing. And this idea, of driving this brand new vehicle, having stuck in my brain, propelled me to go for it. Again, what no one told me was the trap behind those lower payments and these shining toys that you change every 2 to 3 years. And I also made the mistake of getting upsold on extras at the dealership. Aha, this Honda Odyssey LX 7-seater SUV was my very first tear rubber car. Yes, so it was my very first brand new car with only 1 or 2 miles on it. And as such, it must be state of the art. However, within 8 months of having gotten this car, still with that mentality, I returned it and swapped it out for another brand new leased 4-seater Honda CR-V. Principally because I was traveling a lot and had already used up my allotted annual mileage on the leased Odyssey. Besides, because the Odyssey as a V6 engine made my fuel cost to be much more, whereas the CRV with a four-cylinder engine was going to be cheaper on fuel, I thought it was a good deal. But you know what? This second car did not even stay with us for up to a year. And principally, the reason was that it wasn't spacious enough for my children, who usually would travel with us on most of our church trips, and they used to love sleeping at the back of the Odyssey. So the CRV couldn't give them the same comfort. So by year 3, I was already swapping out the CRV again. Third brand new car, upgrading to another brand new leased, shiny wine-colored 8-seater Odyssey EXL. This time I went 2 steps into the Odyssey family. This vehicle was a beauty, but it came with a whopping $680 monthly payment. In addition, my fuel cost significantly went back up. And I was even traveling even longer distances, as my church pastorate had been enlarged by this time. So you can imagine how much I was paying on gas alone. But after using this vehicle for about a year, one of our children got married and another left home to work elsewhere. We had become empty nesters. As such, we realistically decided, you know what, we didn't need a big SUV, so let's downgrade to a salon. And so this time we bought another, we didn't buy, we leased another brand new all-leather Honda Accord Sport. For the fuel efficiency, I love this car. But again, because I was using it for my work, my church work, before long, I was already exceeding my allotted yearly annual mileage. Now, before continuing, let's just pause a moment and consider. In only 5 short years, you know what I had done? In only 5 short years. In fact, less than 5 years at this point in time, I was already driving my 4th brand new tear rubber car. Sounds fancy, right? Sounds good. But here's the painful truth. When I was about getting our 5th and present car, the car we own right now, one of our fellow immigrants working at the dealership pulled me aside and explained what was going on. He said I had thrown money down the drain on the 3 previous brand new cars that I had leased, including even this 4th one that I was leasing at this point in time, which I was already changing, because remember, I was already going above my mileage. I was really using the car. So I thought, okay, let me just trade it in and get another one. Still also with that euphoria of, I want to drive a brand new car at least once every 2 years, So when he told me that, I was like, really? Thrown money away? I asked with my eyes wide open. And he told me, yes, that's what you've done. He told me that because the first Odyssey LX I returned to get the CRV was leased, just like all the other cars I've gotten were leased. And additionally, due to the fact that I was returning it before maturity, before the lease was up, and that I had done with all the cars, actually, none of them stayed up to maturity. And then additionally, I had exceeded the allotted annual mileage. So I had been charged an extra $6,000 to $7,000, beginning with the Odyssey, and this was transferred onto the CRV. So each time I broke the lease to get another car, additional sums were charged and transferred to the new car. So you know what was going on? I was carrying over costs from previous leases, thus inflating the price of every new car that I got. Wow. My eyes popped open. I did not know this. The dealership never explained this to me in a very clear term. Of course, why would they? They want you to do it so that they'll get their money, right? But ignorance, they say, is not an excuse. And as a lawyer, I should know. So there was no excuse for that ignorance on my part. But this guy also informed me that if I was going to pay cash, the car that I was now looking at getting, this new fit car, was only $21,000. If I was going to pay cash, I would drop $21,000 and walk away with the car. However, because I was going to finance it, I didn't have the $21,000, of course. By the time I would finish paying on the loan I would need for that purchase and the transfer cost from breaching my previous leases, I would end up paying $36,000. That's $15,000 more. My newfound friend advised me to cut my losses by sticking with my current car and eventually buying it out by the time the lease was up. However, the dealer that was working with me dangled the carrot of enhanced features of this fit new car before me. My people, sad to say, I obviously hadn't learned by this point. I still had a lot of learning to do. I fell for the bait. But this time, I decided to finance the vehicle rather than lease again, because I had by now known disadvantages of leasing as against financing, at least for me. But no sooner did I get home with that car, did I realize that though it had newer features quite all right, it was actually a Honda Accord LX, which was the entry level in the Accord model of Honda. In fact, my wife was the first person to point it out. She said, "Did you say this is an upgrade?" I don't think so. It was then I realized, when I started checking it out and checking out a few things, I realized that no, it wasn't an upgrade. It was actually a downgrade. Yes, it had one or two new features, like the key was the remote key, which the other Honda was the key that you would put in. Just a few things. But other than that, the Honda Accord was actually a better model, a bigger model, and the seats were all leather. And the windows were tinted. It came tinted. But this one, it was after I actually purchased it that I went to tint it, because it wasn't tinted. That should have told me, but it didn't hit me. However, as I got home and had this conversation with my wife and checked out these few things, I realized that this was actually a downgrade. But I didn't get home that day until about 9:10 in the night. It was a Friday. And the next day I was going to go to church, because I go to church on Saturdays. So I couldn't go to the dealership, because by now I had determined I was going to return that car. So first thing Monday morning, I went back to the dealership. They weren't open on Sunday. So first thing Monday morning, I went back to the dealership. And I told them, "Hey, I don't want this car. I want to return it. I wanted my old car back." And what they told me was interesting. For me, it was curious. They told me, "Oh, sorry. My old car had been sold, so it was no longer available." This was between Friday and Monday. And they said the old car was already sold, so it was no longer available. Then the next thing they told me was that, yes, they could take this car from me. However, it was going to be a repurchase by them. And so they were going to buy it at a lower price, because at this point it was no longer brand new, because I had driven it off the lot. And so I was now selling it back to them. So they were not going to buy it at the same price at which they sold it to me 2 days earlier. I was shocked. As if that wasn't enough, they told me that also the excess that it had been carrying, almost to the tune of 15K or thereabout, that I was going to pay that also. Boy, I am telling you, even though I was in an air-conditioned office, I was sweating like a Christmas goat, as they would say. You know, I was flabbergasted. Cold sweat broke through my body. But there was no option. There was nothing I could do. They told me, just go with your car and go see what you want to do. So literally beaten black and blue by this situation, I left. I left with that car. But I vowed to myself that this was going to be the last time that I was going to be caught in this kind of mess. And it was not going to happen again. Yes, I was now going with my 5th brand new car in just a couple of years, driving a brand new car number 5. But I told myself, this is the last new car I'm going to buy. Until I pay it off, I'm not buying any other new car. But then I had already been beaten. I had already been bought. Now, folks, I am telling this story now, but I can tell you when I realized the mistakes I made, the stupid mistakes I made, I didn't find it funny at the time. Might be laughing over it now, but at that time, I didn't find it funny. Anyway, to cut a long story short, it took me 6 full years to pay off that car. That 5th car was 2018. I bought it, 2018 Honda Accord. I just paid it off about 2 months ago, 2024. 6 years that it took. But I never bought any other new car. I've bought another car, second-hand car, because when my wife started working, she had to go to work. I'm doing my own work. So we needed a second car. But I paid cash for that other car that I bought. I did not lease. I did not do finance again. So right now, I'm not financing any other car. I'm not paying on any car notes on any other car. However, there are a few takeaway lessons I want you to take away from my experience, from what I went through. Lesson number 1, leasing might look affordable. Yes. But you know what? It comes with mileage limits, which was what I experienced. Early return penalties and higher insurance costs. Each time you lease a car, you start over. You are actually paying for a car you will never own. It's like dumping your money down the drain. And almost like renting a home. You don't have any equity, you don't have anything, you don't have any stake on it. Your money just goes. Lesson number 2, when you buy a new car, it loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. That's what happened to me. 2 days after driving it off the lot and bringing it back, I was told it was a second-hand car. It was no longer brand new. And the value had depreciated. That singular mistake cost me thousands, I tell you. Lesson number 3 learned here. Honestly, if I could start over, I would skip the new car dream entirely. You don't have to buy a brand new car to have reliable transportation. The second car that I bought that I'm talking about, in fact, the second car that we bought was also a Honda EX, the 2-door Honda EX. It was a 2010 Honda car that we bought. No, 2008. I used that car for about 4 years. This was in between the leases by the time I got this last car that we are using. So used it for about 4 years. I traded it in because I paid cash for it. It wasn't much, about $1,000. I paid cash for it and then traded it in, got another second-hand car, a Chevy, 2009 Chevy. And I'm still using it till today. In fact, I got that 2009 Chevy in 2017. It's actually older than the Honda that I got in 2018 that I got financed. The last brand new car that I got. That one was 2017. I am still using it till today. 7 years after. 2009 vehicle. And how much did I buy it again? I traded in my old Honda, my old Honda Coupe, and got this one. The person who bought the Honda Coupe gave me this one, and this one was $600 extra I gave to him, the Chevy, and I've been using it since 2017. Are you beginning to see what I'm trying to say? Because back then, I thought that owning a brand new car, a beautiful brand new car, was the ultimate sign of having arrived. I was on an ego trip. Oh, having never driven brand new car before, this was my thought. So I drove 5 brand new cars within a space of 7 years. Who does that? That was madness. But that was what I did. So that was another lesson I learned. That, nope, it's not worth it. The truth is that some of the money we came into the country with at the time we arrived would have bought us an affordable, solid, and reliable certified pre-owned car without us going into any debt. We wouldn't have ended up paying $35,000 for a car that actually cost $21,000. Apart from all the payments we had made on the first 4 leased vehicles, one of which I was paying $680 every month, some $400. None of them was less than $400 plus every month. So all that was like money flushed down the drain. Imagine what we could have accomplished with all that money. Imagine if we had known and just used what we had and bought a second-hand car, a used vehicle, a certified pre-owned vehicle, and then instead of using all that 400 plus, went up to 600 plus, making car payments. If I had been putting that in an indexed value cash account or policy, I can't even begin to imagine where we would have been 13 years after. But I didn't know. Ignorance, they say, is a big, big disease. And that's what we are trying to save you from. For you not to fall into the same trap we fell into due to ignorance, due to pride, due to ego, going on an ego trip. Who cares that I drove 5 new cars in 7 years? Who cares to know about it? What difference does it make to anybody? But look at the huge difference it made to potential investments I could have had I known better. So if you want to get a used vehicle, use tools like Kelly's Blue Book, Carfax. In fact, there are several tools out there that can assist you, great options for you to get good used certified pre-owned vehicles. And the best part of this lesson here is that you would avoid the worst part of a new car ownership, which is what? Depreciation. Recall that the moment I drove off the lot, took that car home for the weekend, came back on Monday morning, wanting to return it, I was told the car was sold, that the value had depreciated. It was no longer the same value. It had dropped like a rock into the bottom of an ocean. That's a huge lesson that I hope you have learned today by watching this channel. And by the way, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do us a favor. Subscribe. Let us know, let others know that what you are learning is valuable. Drop your comments. Hit the notification bell. Be part of our community. Okay, so lesson number 4. Another thing many people do not know is that new cars often come with additional fees, such as destination charges, dealer preparation fees, and advertising fees. These fees are usually lower or even non-existent when buying a used car. Also, when you own a car outrightly, you have the freedom to sell or trade it in whenever you want without facing fees or significant penalties, like you do with a leased car or even a purchased car that you have not paid off fully. In fact, for the car that you have not paid off fully, it's not even your car. It belongs to the bank. And until you pay off, before it becomes yours. And so it was when we paid off that car 2 months ago, less than 2 weeks after, I was sent the title. That was the first time I saw the title in 6 years of the vehicle. That was the time that I had the satisfaction that this car was now ours. So the other advantage of you going this route, buying outrightly, is that there is also no mileage limit, no penalties, and no return deadlines hanging over your head. Recall that I first bought a Honda outright, another Honda, smaller one, second-hand, used, 2008. I bought it and I traded it in and bought the Chevy easily. No questions asked with anybody. I had my title. It was an outright purchase. That's what I should have done from the beginning. But I went the lease way, then the finance way. But I thank God I have learned a hard lesson in a very hard way. I am trying to save you going that route. That is why I'm doing this video today, so that you don't make this same mistake. It's better to buy outright, forget that ego trip, and buy something that you can pay for right out, and you are not making any monthly payments to nobody. Lesson number 6 or number 5. Lesson number 5 learned here. When I decided to finance our current car, the one that we just paid off, that day, as I was there at the dealership, I decided, okay, you know what? Let me contact my credit union. Remember, I had leased 4 vehicles before, so I had known a few things by this time. So I called my credit union and got instantly approved for a loan. But why was I so quickly approved? Over the phone, it wasn't up to an hour. I called, we talked about it. They told me what they could approve me for. I told them I was in the dealership. They said, okay, transmission of papers, everything, communication. I was approved. Voila. But why was I approved so fast? Because I had excellent credit. Excellent credit. So you need excellent credit. You need good credit. And to know how to do same, to obtain same, watch this video somewhere up here that we had already posted before, 10 credit card commandments. It will help you. Anyway, by contacting my credit union, I didn't fall for the dealership's tricky financing offers. And this also saved me from their own high interest financing that I would have gotten through their own nominated bank. Then the second thing I was able to do that same day was to reduce my loan term to 72 months, that's 6 years, as against the 84 months that the dealership's financial had offered. A longer term, slightly lower, but at the end of the day, I would have ended up paying more and also paying more interest. In fact, if I had taken up the dealership's offer, we would have ended up paying about $36,000 that they had projected for the car rather than 35,000 that we actually ended up paying. That's a saving of $1,000 in naira. That's 1 point something million naira, right? Now, lesson number 6. Do you know that it was when I purchased for the first time that I got to know that I was actually paying more for insurance? For all the lease vehicles that I had gotten, I was paying more for insurance. You know, when you own a car, you have more flexibility in choosing how you want to insure, the type of insurance you want, the amount of insurance you want, the kind of coverage you want. You have that flexibility. But if it's a lease vehicle, they want you to do maximum comprehensive coverage because they want to make sure if anything happens to the car, they can recover the money because you are just leasing it. You don't own it. So you really don't have anything at stake on that vehicle. And lesson number 7. Did you also know that your credit score and driving record affect your insurance rates? When we first came, of course, we didn't have any credit history. So our rates were generally sky high. But as we began to build our credit history, those rates dropped like magic. And that is why it's crucial for you as a new immigrant to start building your credit right from the time you touch the shores of this land. Watch this playlist that will also pop up somewhere above here to know how to master the US finance system as an immigrant. We have a lot of videos that have dealt with different subjects on this that will help you navigate the US finance system. Okay? And here's another thing that I didn't know until much later. Insurance rates can vary a lot. Shopping around has helped us save hundreds of dollars. Using sites like Geico or Progressive or many others that are out there, you can compare rates. And if your driving record is clean, is good, you can even ask for discounts on your insurance. Recently, I started using technology to get further discounts. My insurance company put an app on my phone or something like that monitors my driving habits. And for good driving habits, I get premium reduction for safe driving. Of course, the converse is the case. If I drive rough, I pay more. But this has made me now to become very conscious of my driving. So it's overall very helpful. So these are things you can do to lower your rates. So my friends, looking back, my initial car decisions weren't just costly, they were stupid, they were foolish, they were all based on ego, and they were a lesson in financial stupidity, if you like. Please don't let shiny futures or the allure of driving a brand new car derail your financial goals. I beg you, don't let the pride of wanting to say you are driving a brand new car, because I've never driven a brand new car before, so let me drive 5 brand new cars in 7 years, and that sets you up for financial failure. Do you know that every dollar saved on an unnecessary car lease or purchase is a dollar you can invest in building wealth? When you have built up something tangible and solid, you can affordably and cheaply buy any car of your dreams. Cash down. Just as I was saying, if only I had known this, can you imagine? I just think it can't be less than 50 to 70,000, if not more, that we made in car payments. The leases, the leased ones, the purchased ones, in car payments. We learned our lesson. I learned my lesson because this is why I'm doing this video alone, because my wife wasn't part of most of those decisions I made. I made those car decisions. So I learned my lessons the hard way, but it impacted her. It impacted my family. Because imagine That's I'm sure it's more than 70,000, frankly speaking, that we've poured down the drain on cars. If I had known about this and used 3,000-4,000 when we first arrived and bought a good, solid, reliable car from my pocket money that we had, imagine what that 70,000, if we had known, we had put it into a cash value life policy that is tax-free, that grows at compound interest. Imagine the difference it would have made in our lives. I want you to be able to make that difference. That is why I am doing this video today. So, my friends, did you find this video valuable? Was it helpful? If so, I would love you to share your own car buying experience in the comment section of this video. Did you lease? Did you buy? Or do something else? Let's hear from you. Let our community benefit from your knowledge as you are benefiting from mine now. And to have more tips on how to navigate your immigrant journey in this great country called the United States of America, check out this playlist above, and I'll meet you there.